What happened to the 8.5 billion US dollars Just Energy Transition grant funding for South Africa? Let's talk about it. Hello guys, my name is Mtombeni, founder of Africa for Nuclear. Let's unpack what happened to the 8.5 billion US dollars Just Energy Transition grant funding that was meant to help South Africa transition from coal to cleaner energy sources in a fair and equitable way. Earlier this year, in March, researchers at Wits University published a paper detailing where the money has gone to, when it was dispersed, and what it was spent on. The funding for South Africa's Just Energy Transition was announced at COP29 in Glasgow, 2021, backed by the European Union, France, Germany, the US, and the UK, with the Netherlands and Denmark joining later. It was a big promise, 8.5 billion US dollars to decarbonize South Africa's energy sector and support coal-dependent communities. Apparently, only a tiny 4% of this funding were actually grant money. The rest were concessional loans, meaning South Africa will need to pay them back. At COP28 in Dubai last year, two important documents were released. The first one being the Just Energy Transition Implementation Plan, a roadmap for making a shift to cleaner energy. It has 6 main areas: electricity, Mpumalanga's coal transition, new energy vehicles, green hydrogen, skills development, and municipal support. The second document is the JET Grants Register. This document tracks where the money has gone and who received it, just to bring transparency to the funding process. Now, here's where things get interesting. The grants register shows that only 24% of the money goes to South African entities like local companies, NGOs, and government bodies. The rest, about 76%, goes to foreign companies and organizations, mostly from donor countries. For example, more than 3.7 billion went to German agencies like GIZ, the German Development Agency, and KfW, the German Development Bank, and US-based companies such as Deloitte and the US Department of Energy's National Labs also received funding. Critics argue that this setup hides the true final recipients, as these foreign agencies often take substantial cuts for their own cost and hire their own consultants. Another issue is timing. Apparently, over 5.2 billion was dispersed before South Africa's public consultation on JET IP even began. That's over half the funding out the door before the public even had a chance to comment on how it should be used. Now tell me, what was the public even consulting on if the money had already been spent? So what did these grants actually fund? The priority areas included green hydrogen, Mpumalanga's just transition, and electricity infrastructure, with small amounts going to skills development and municipalities. But when we look closer, there's a problem. Very little of this money was used to build the actual energy infrastructure or create renewable energy sources that South Africa claims to urgently need. Instead, 1.2 billion was spent on technical assistance, studies, and capacity building, much of it going to foreign consultants, a type of funding that critics say does not provide immediate tangible benefits. Additionally, 1.5 billion went to green initiatives like green bonds and private sector investments, which many feel should not have been prioritized in grant allocation. Perhaps most troubling, there's almost no funding dedicated to civil society groups and workers' unions. Only 0.4% of the funds went to civil society organizations, and there's no money specifically set aside to help workers in the coal sectors and provide social protection. Even the 1.1 billion rand marked for skills mainly went to foreign-led initiatives, with just 453 million rand for actual skills training for South Africans, with some strange inclusions under the banner of skills, like financing the secondment of an employee of the British High Commission to the Presidential Climate Commission. So what does this all mean, South Africans? While these grants were meant to help us, South Africans, in transitioning to clean energy, it seems much of it has gone elsewhere, primarily to the foreign consultants and agencies. In fact, to the same countries that pledged it. And very little has reached communities and workers who need it most. So what do you think, guys? Has South Africa's JET funding missed the mark? Let me hear your thoughts on the comments section. Thank you for watching.